So, yes, hello everyone. As I promised, as I told, like I will be giving you out the whole plan, and this will be a huge as video series which we will be performing and doing. So basically, the first video, which is this one, will be a mostly kind of introduction how this will be, what it will be around, and everything around the fact. Okay, not too much like in the plan. We will have a separate video for light and shadows, but this is mostly the whole introductory plan or the assessment of the things. So how it will be look like. So let's go to the slide, and basically um, I will show you like what this whole thing is about. Okay, like all the things and in a map and all of that kind of stuff. See you there. Hey, so welcome to the slide. Okay, and so we begin our analogies and everything. All right. So as you can see over here, basically the Dragon AI ecosystem is divided in three layers: surface web, deep web, and dark web. Okay, so basically, if you look at this whole thing currently, so basically, if you can look at it, the whole ecosystem is divided in two parts: light and shadows. Okay, so basically I'm native from shadows, and i I happen to like be very successful in light too. So my infrastructure got successful in light too. So basically, as you can see over here, so like surface web, deep web, and dark web, all the three are the layers. Okay, so as I have already explained over here, what is a low orchestration, high orchestration, and mid low orchestration layer is. So basically, if you can see over here, we are dividing the whole ecosystem in two parts: light and shadows. All right. So basically the light is the surface web part. Okay, so the industries which revolve around light, like which are flashy in nature, a bit like more attention seeking, and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so basically like NA10, coding agent, SAS, CRM. Okay, so all of this are included in light UI part. Okay, and over here, as you can see, hard coded and CLI based infra. So as I've already shown you in my last videos and all this stuff. So basically, as you can see over here, we are dividing basically mm, the surface web and the dark web are basically the UI layers. How I can explain, like the basic computation never happens in this layer. These are just glitters, if I can say it. And most of the web, the biggest portion of the web is deep web. Okay, so like the surface web and dark web are basically just the UI. One is hosted in clearnet and one is hosted in onion routing. So basically that's the thing of the all of this. Okay, so if you look at it, how I've divided the whole both the sides equally, like so it's a yin yang and the balance is maintained. So all right, so as you can see over here, the hard coded and CLI based infra. So and this, so these are the two sides of the same coin. Okay, like this cyber hacking, this also run in CLI, this also runs in CLI. So basically, if you look at it in that perspective, then it is. So this the hard coded CLI, like let me explain what CLI is. So if I open a terminal over here, CMD. So if you understand, basically, let me open the Linux one, it's better. Huh. So like if you are familiar with AI, ML, and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so you must know some things like basically like where the AI runs, what is API, what is ML, what is like the raw computational AI, and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so the AI which is running in the world currently is running over here in this deep web thing. And even if you are using in chat GTP in this browser, it's the intelligence is getting structured and processed in this place only, because this is the place where AI actually runs. other than what you are seeing in chat gtp or any dark web model or any shadows model is basically like through API. Okay, like that happens in in the terminal itself. It's an environment. Okay, like those are environments. So basically, this is where the real AI runs, and every company, like whether it's OpenAI, um, Anthropic, anyone, like any DeepSeek, Kimi, anything, like in India, in anywhere, all the companies usually run AI over here, and they transfer it through API in UIs in UI layers. Okay, so basically, if you look at it currently, the main computation always happens in deep web, which is the terminal itself. So as you can see over here, the hard coded CLI thing. So basically, hard coded CLI, what hard coded CLI is. So hard coded CLI is basically the pip environments and all the coded environments either through Python, C++, Rust, or like any other language, whether it's assembly, compressor, anything, like it can be a bunch of things depending on the use case and what you are making it for. Okay, so basically that's what this is. So while doing this, while expanding all this, so what happened is like the light industry was always borrowing AI from this CLI, but they didn't knew properly like what it is. Okay, so after we showed them what the full architecture looks like, then they started using it properly. So this kind of CLIs are basically running on a kernel. Okay, so if you run a model right now, so you will be interacting through kernel itself, which is hard coding, which is like kernel is the place which interacts with your hardware. Okay, so kernel will be the base where the hard coded CLI and all the computation happens. Okay, like which will take the power of your hardware and run those systems. Okay, so basically that's the place where all the computation and everything happens, and kernel will be key in our upcoming AI ecosystem. Okay, like very very key. Okay, like that will be the main place where the actual work happens. So basically, if you can see, so I have given you the analogies and everything, and basically uh, when you are running all these CLIs and everything, if you can see over here, the CLI is not tied to basically one operating system or anything like that. It can run on anything, whether any piece of hardware, whether it's Raspberry Pi, a, a gaming computer like mine, like super graded gaming computer like mine, or the computers like the AI computers, like Nvidia has launched some something like DGX Spark. All this are basically like the AI supercomputers which are coming. Like this is the first, like the very first thing which we are seeing through by Nvidia, but in future there will be more and more. Okay, so basically all this stuff will be running in the CLI itself. So CLI is not any um, has nothing to do with your UI. Okay, like all the operating system, Windows, Mac, all of this, Linux has a UI. Okay, but the CLI is the core of the operating system. Okay, like it doesn't really matter which operating system it is, every operating system has CLIs. Okay, so basically as you can see, Unix and Linux, basically in we can run it in Mac or Linux, like the thing is same. But in Mac, like in Apple's thing, the problem is the permissions are very hard to obtain, the root permissions are very hard to obtain, which is a very big problem for us, like for these agents and our ecosystem, because like you have to jailbreak and stuff, which fucks up your warranty and things like that. So over here, a little bit of more permission is required from their side. Like if they want to run it in their hardware, it's totally up to them, but we can stick with Linux too. So we want root access. Okay, if we are running this agents and agentic AI, we want full root access, to the machine itself. because without that we can't fully like, if you know what kernel is, if you work in kernel territory, then kernel territory is something which requires you full root access of your device through the OS. But if the OS locks it, OS means operating system, the operating system locks it down, then this agents and this won't be able to utilize that OS. Okay, so the problem is like in Apple and all of this, the problem isn't with the hardware itself, it's with the software. So they have to do some changes and stuff over here. And for Linux, like Linux is open source and we don't have problem. In Windows too, like if you are using Windows, so basically you can install WSL. I won't suggest running this too much in PowerShell, because PowerShell has not that much level of computation thing, it's mostly for Windows administration. So yeah, it's totally, you can install WSL and get started with it. Okay, and for CLI, like as you can see, so it CLI is like you can have free BSD, any like the old OSs and all this OSs, which will be the core basis where this systems work, like all the back end, like back end of the systems, the code and like assembly and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so basically compiler, assembly, all this stuff. Okay, so basically this is where all this stuff will happen. So it doesn't really matter what the OS is. Basically like the hardware will be like rams, CPUs, GPUs, which will power this AIs. Okay, TPUs, like right now it's new, something called TPU, tensor processor unit, a bunch of thing in hardware too. Okay, so like those hardware, on top of that hardware we have this systems like CLI systems, like we have a OS can be anything, Linux, Unix. We have been mostly using Linux because it's open source and like the community is huge and I'm part of that community too. So like yeah, basically that's why I prefer Linux. Like you can use anything, Unix, Mac, Windows, any CLI. Basically, and for the edge devices we will be using like CLIs too, Termux. Like if you know like my past, like I have been a Termux OG. Like I have a knowledge of hacking devices using Termux a lot, like mobile net hunter. Okay, basically, so I have done that net hunter stuff too, so I understand like how the edge devices will work and everything. I don't think we can run in-hand model still in Termux, like the mobile hardware isn't there. I mean, maybe the small parameters models, maybe one two, I don't know, like we have to check, I haven't run it in mobile. So small parameters models can run locally through root access. In Android I know it can be run, but I haven't tried like an Apple ever since. Like I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Okay, like basically, so yeah, through Termux we can run. So for the edge devices, the CLI will be the core. Okay, so as I have told you, like how it's gonna look like. So basically the monetization plan and everything will be around this. So as you can see, I have divided it perfectly. Okay, like how it's gonna look like. So if you can look over here, so as you know, like everything which occurs in the light is powered by the CLI itself, like in the shadows too, like this portion is the portion where the CLI sits. Okay, so this portion is the portion where CLI sits, which powers both the UI layers. Okay, so for that what we are gonna be doing is like we are like dividing a bit of territories and stuff. So like so over here in light, SMMS as, which is an application layer. Okay, like this light is mostly through used for applications and stuff, application layer. And this is the shadows is mostly a protocol layer, protocol internet. Okay, and this is like application internet. So this is a division, and both are powered by the CLIs. Okay, like the hard coded CLIs which are running both the sides of the net. Okay, so basically, so as you can see, I have divided, like I have given the hard coded CLI and the cyber operations I have kept cyber in shadows, and hard coded CLIs for development in light. So basically, the hard coded CLI, I mean, these two things are same. This is Linux, this is CLI, this is CLI too. So it's the same thing, but we are just dividing the sectors. So by this division, why we are dividing it by so yeah, like basically, so we are dividing it so we can get both best from the both of the worlds. So basically, it's a similar territory. Okay, if you can see over here, it's a similar thing. Like both are like hard coded, both are like technical and stuff, and I directly running on the CLI itself. So if you look at it, if you look at robotics, this is where the real computation happens, the deep web sector. Like this is like the main CLI sector, not the deep web. Deep web is much bigger. This is the core, like the basic sector of the whole uh, site of the whole internet. So this is where everything will be. So if you can see over here, this is what it's gonna look like. So the same Linux is powering the surface with the same CLI, and the environments are powering cloud, surface web, and everything, and the same thing is powering dark web and like cyber and everything. So this is the core basis. Like this is where the dragon sits. Okay, this is where the dragon sits and commands both the sides of the net. Okay, so basically, as you can see, this is what it is all about. So basically, if I give you one more thing, like I'm gonna make you explain it using this circle how big the deep web really is. Like it's more than 90% of the net. Okay, and most like it's more than 90% of the net, and this UI layers are basically a tiny fraction of the net. Okay, so if I have made a circle over it, if I color it, you will understand. Like let me put a red color. So this is the whole deep web sector. Like the deep web, like it's not light or shadows or light. It's like the whole deep web, like all the communities, databases and everything, like n8n database templates for your over your codes, everything. So this part of the net can't be really monetized. I mean, this is the computing part. Like you can't run ads over here. You can't run outreach over here. Like try to understand, my you can't run funnels over here. So this is nothing to do with monetization, bro. What you're gonna monetize? A fucking code. Like I mean, what you're gonna monetize in your like there is nothing. Like this is mostly open source zone. Okay. So basically, yeah, people interact, people give code, share code, take code, GitHub, all this stuff. Okay, GitHub, what it is, whatever. So like this is what it is gonna look like. Okay, so if I remove the color, wait. So this is the whole region. Okay, so like database, email, all this type of stuff, and this is you can see like I have like made a scribble over here, so you can understand like what I'm trying to say. This tiny portions are the UI layers, and basically the these two layers are basically low orchestration to mid orchestration layer, as I've already defined you. Why I'm putting dark web in mid orchestration, a bit mid, because like it's a bit tougher than light, low level orchestration than surface web, because it hops through the Tor protocol. It's a protocolish in nature. Okay, it's not like too complex, but it's a bit protocolish. There is a bit of onion routing thing which you need to understand to able to host and run work in this layer and this side. Okay, so other than that, it's like the nature is similar, the stuff are similar, everything is similar. Okay, markets, there are markets over here, there are markets over here. Okay, so these two places are where the market ad funnels and everything runs, and where the major monetization will happen. Okay, other than this is a place where like bro, there's nothing to monetize other than if you are like other than there's nothing much to monetize over here. Like how you gonna monetize CL? Like i mean I mean if you're selling your CL in a subscription based, maybe like then, and it's not a good like no one sells subscription in CL, it's mostly open source. So like this is where the most of the stuff happens, like most of the internet is. And while like me coming to light, I never went too much viral. Like why I had such a big impact in light, so let me explain you. I never went viral in light, okay? Like I never went super viral. I went viral in communities like SMMS SaaS and all this tech, but I never went super viral in light, like 100 or million of follower, all this stuff, okay? I don't even want it, I don't even need it, okay? Why I went so impactful in light? Because I never focused on the UI, I focused on the deep sector, okay? Like in the community sector of the night, and that's how I got like light in my control, basically, if I see it simply. All right, so basically that's how it works, okay? So basically, if you see over here, that this is what it is all gonna be. So in my upcoming videos I will be explaining like how the monetization thing will be and what it's gonna look like, what are the sectors we are gonna be touching, like how robotics and everything. So basically everything, okay? So what departments we are gonna have, like how the light will perform and how the shadows will perform and all of this. So basically this thing is what this CLI system is powering the whole internet, okay? Where we run it through hardware. This is what like where the real software lives, okay? And this is gonna like first, this one is for application layer SMMS SaaS, and over here shadows and Tor, cyber and Tor. Okay, so this will be the most basis of the whole ecosystem, okay? And yeah, basically this is what it's gonna look like, guys. And there isn't much other than like in the introductory part, there isn't much I can say, like the much I want to say, other than like in the monetization part I will go in detail and explain each of the things for light and shadows. So you can see like I've made the perfect division, like so the light can even enjoy the high computational layer, which is the deep web, which is the high orchestration layer. Why? Because like this is the place where you can run the fastest AI, the cheapest, and the best AI. Like if you're using like even the companies which are using AI are all running over here too. Okay, so it will be a like the surface companies must look at this, like they should try to use as much as high orchestration layer as possible, okay, high level orchestration as possible, because the net isn't divided. And if you're not using it, you are wasting your, like you are staying behind. It's totally up to you. If you want to live in your illusions, cool. But if you want future to be with, like if you want to use the tech of future, then start using it, okay? All right, so basically it's all sorted over here. So this is what the CLIs will be. So like if you saw like for the first time, like in light, they saw the kernel system, like which is cloudbot. Okay, this is not something new. Kernel systems, I have made multiple and multiple of kernel systems by now. I haven't launched anything in AI, but pre-COVID I have made multiple kernel system. For me CLI is like a regular thing, but for light people it is not a regular thing, by because they like they have been like the net was a bit different back then. So for them, like for cyber people and people like me, it's very normal, like we see it every day. But for them, like it is something new and they are getting used to it. But like I had some negative comments around that, like people are saying what this that, but dude, like listen, AI like this, like kernel is different, okay? Like kernel is kernel, and once the AI sits on your kernel, then the game changes, and it is what it is, okay? So yeah, this is cool, but yeah, like so yeah, so the both sides can use like the high orchestration net, okay, like the shadow sector and the light sector too. So this is why this division is about. And like there are various things in the UI, in the computation, in n8n, and like in the back end and the front end, okay? So basically that's it, like that's the point. So like n8n isn't much of a thing, okay? N8 is just the visual backend, okay? Visual backend, that's it. Other than that, if you want to write it in a code, you can even host it in service using like an http or app or anything. Like you can get a domain and start hosting it. If you're making an app, you can do like for Android, they have Kotlin or all of this, like the app development, okay? I don't do too much app development, okay? But if required, we are gonna do that, okay? So basically And for the companies, if you are using AI, so basically, if like in the light in my light and shadows monetization video, I'm gonna say like what it is gonna be like, what it is gonna, how companies will benefit from this, and how companies should be using it as a good practice. But try to understand the fact, like the main computation never happens in the UI layers of surface web and dark web. It always happens in the deep territory, deep zone. Okay, so like deep web isn't, I won't say it a layer, basically it's a zone. Okay, so the the circle which I have made over here is a zone. So basically this is a zone. Okay, and where the main communities sit and everything sit. Okay, and these are just like the UI. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Like yeah, this is like the whole sum of it. And there isn't like too details about this, which will be provided in my upcoming videos, like in the videos like which I will be posting in this session of recording. Okay, so yeah, in the monetization part. So yeah, basically this that's it. Like and see you in the light and the in light and the shadow monetization part, where I will be explaining everything about company and everything. And for before leaving, like if you are a company which you're gonna be like which zone you are gonna be using, whether it's deep web, UI, or light UI, or dark UI. It's like it depends on your operations and what you are doing. Okay, we are gonna explain it in very detail, very theoretically, and everything like around in the in our light and shadows monetization video. Yeah, see you soon. Have a good day.